Hey guys, I'm Azra, and in this Lord of the Rings Rise to War video, I'm going to show you a guide about Gil-galad. Let's get going. So unfortunately, I still haven't unlocked Gil-galad, which is why I have to rely on this overview. So let's jump into the stats and see what's going on here. So Gil-galad from his typing is a leader, which fits him perfectly fine. That works with his skill set. His attributes are also very good. Lots of might, lots of focus, but actually he prefers might over focus. His focus is okay too, because with this you can boost the effect of White Council. And his speed stat is also kinda okay, you can't complain about it. But yeah, first priority might, and second priority maybe focus because of White Council. Now let's see what we have here. Let's jump over to the skills and decide what is making Gil-galad so unique. Just as always, let's start with the general overview. So at the bottom we have his respect 0 title called Kingly Kin. This is such a strong skill because this enables your elven units to evade incoming attacks with a certain percentage chance. It states for the first 2 rounds, but actually I don't know what's going on over here. Maybe it's a bug or maybe not, because whenever you fight, elven units actually evade even on round 3. So, game devs, was this intended? Or is this a bug? Or maybe just a display issue? If yes, you need to change the display from first 2 rounds to first 3 rounds. And then if you have maxed this out, it is going to give your elven units also plus 10 defense. A great skill overall, in my opinion, one of the strongest skills in the game. It can be bypassed with Pursuit, but not everybody has Pursuit. Then we have Exorbitance, a strong army buff, definitely one of the best skills you have for Gil-galad. And then we have Well Prepared. This is enabling your melee units to counterattack, but that's not that great. I wouldn't spend any points into this. To the top we have Gil-galad's title, Icicle. Every 3 rounds you are going to deal a certain percentage physical damage against 2 enemy units and also stun them. Well, we aren't really looking at this skill to get the damage value out of it. We are looking at the skill because we would like to have the stun effect. So every 3 rounds, you get a reliable stun against 2 enemy units. This is so strong. You should definitely put 1 point into this. Once you have maxed it out, you also get plus 15 might. And at the top we have a Precise Blow. Every 2 rounds you are going to deal physical damage against 1 enemy unit. It has also the effect Pursuit built into it. It's kinda okay, but not what Gil-galad is specializing in. What Gil-galad wants is to boost the damage of his army and also mitigate the damage his army is receiving. Then we have Dazzle. This is a commander stun. Not that important in my opinion, because it's going to be activated 2 times in a battle. Like every 4 rounds it's going to be activated. We have other skills that are much more important than this. At his respect 3 title we have White Council, a great skill overall. Like whenever you have leftover points, you may want to consider White Council, but we'll get to that in a moment. With White Council, you are going to mitigate incoming damage for the first 3 instances. This is also scaling with focus, which is why I said it is kinda okay to focus on focus as a secondary stat. Once you have maxed this out, this effect can also kick in an additional time in fight. Then we have Champion of the Light. This is increasing your damage against Orcs, Uruk-hai and Trolls by a certain percentage. A great skill overall, but keep in mind if you are fighting against evil men, it wouldn't make any sense to spend any points into this. Let's not even talk about good side. You shouldn't spend any points into this if you are fighting good side. Maybe in your leveling phase, if you are fighting evil side, PvE units, but not against good side. Then we have High Alert, and this is like always needed whenever you are fighting against strong elemental damage mechanics, be it against Oathbreakers, be it against, let's say, Keepers, or how about Gandalf the White, or let's say the Shadow, who's dealing lots of poison damage, or how about the Witch King with his Alchemist, that's strong fire damage. In cases like that, you will need elemental damage mitigation with High Alert. At respect 5 we have his title called High King, one of his best skills he has if you ask me. If you have maxed this out, it will give your elven units a flat damage mitigation of minus 15%. That is huge. This counts against physical damage as well as against elemental damage. And also if you have maxed it out, it gives your Elven units plus 3 HP, which is kind of great because you have Sentinels and Heralds in your army. They are infantry units, and infantry units benefit by this a lot. Then we have Elven Leader, also a very strong mechanic of Gil-galad. This is giving your Elven units a certain percentage to gain follow-up, and this will be important in his meta build. To the top we have Chaotic Retreat. This is reducing the defensive stat of the enemy army, which means you are going to deal more physical damage. And there you go, this is Gil-galad. Overall, great skills, like strong army boosting mechanics, and also many skills that ensure the survival of Gil-galad's army. Now let me show you how I would spend my points into Gil-galad. He doesn't really have an important skill order such as Dine or Gimli, but just to get the most out of it, I would do something like this. I would put 1 point into Icicle from the get-go just to have the reliable stun against 2 enemy units every 3 rounds. This is strong CC, reliable CC. Then I would go over to Kingly Kin, max this out just to have more units survive when I am leveling my units. I want as many units alive as possible, right? Because that is how fast I can grow my economy. Then I would go over to his respect level 5, High King. Go back and forth between High King and Elven Leader until I have maxed out both of these skills. And from here on onwards, I would go back to his respect 0 title here and spend everything into Exorbitance until I have maxed it out. Now, from here on onwards, I would go back to Chaotic Retreat. If I have lots of points, max this out. If I don't have enough points, I may consider going back into White Council. Now, this is very situational. Are you in your leveling phase? If yes, you can go with White Council and Champion of the Light to deal more damage against tiles. Are you fighting against Evil Side? It makes sense to go into White Council and also Champion of the Light. But if you are fighting against lots of elemental damage, go White Council and also High Alert. And if you have any points left, like you could go back to Chaotic Retreat. I think it is okay to have spent 5 points into it. You don't really need the 7 points. But if you have the points, go all in. Then maybe go back to White Council, try to complete this and whatever you need, be it Champion of the Light or High Alert. And if you still have any points left, how about going back into this tree, ensure that you deal a bit more physical damage by going back and forth between Icicle and Precise Blow. It could also make sense to spend 1 point into Dazzle just to have a chance of stunning the enemy commander. It may proc every now and then. But yeah, this is how I would skill my Gil-galad. Now let's also quickly summarize what strengths and weaknesses Gil-galad has. And looking at this bottom respect 0 title, Kingly Kin, I can definitely say that one of his strongest kits is Evade for the first 3 rounds. That is very strong. His second strength would be that he has Icicle, and Icicle is a reliable stun that counts against 2 enemy units every 3 rounds. That is very reliable. His third strength would be that he has high army damage boost. How does he provide it? Well, he provides it with Exorbitance. This is a damage buff for your army. He also provides it with Elven Leader. This is a follow-up chance. Double attack means double damage. And also Chaotic Retreat. The less defensive stats the enemy army has, the more physical damage you deal against them. His fourth strength would be that he has strong damage mitigation abilities for his army. Be it like High King, this is flat damage mitigation, or White Council, this is, again is reducing the incoming damage by a certain percentage, and also, if need be, some elemental damage coverage with High Alert. Last but not least, low upkeep cost is his last strength. And why do I think that? Well, looking at his troop composition, you will see that Sentinels and Heralds are very easy to conscript, and they are core units in his composition. They can be exchanged with other units, but you can always run with those, and also as a third option you can include Bowknights, and Bowknights are the only hard to conscript unit in your army. But yeah, low upkeep costs for sure. In regards to Gil-galad's weaknesses, I would say that he has 4 weaknesses, starting with CC. So to summarize CC, I would say, just as every commander, he is weak against silence, that's a given, but also against commander stun. As far as I know, whenever a commander is stunned, every skill is being shut down, such as titles as well as skills. His last CC weakness would be that he is kind of vulnerable against army madness and also army stun, but I think that too is self-explanatory since he will be running a 3-unit army. His second weakness would be evade. Like many other commanders, you need to snowball as soon as you can, but if the enemy has evade, you can't do that. So even Gil-galad needs to take care of evade. You might argue since he himself has evade, he isn't really that vulnerable, and in that point you are right. But still, Gil-galad versus Gil-galad, whoever hasn't maxed out Kingly Kin is more likely to lose. This is why I consider this a weakness. His third weakness would be Pursuit. The very reason why is because that is a direct counter to Kingly Kin. And Kingly Kin is one of his biggest strengths. That is being shut down with Pursuit. His fourth weakness would be Cleanse. Now why am I saying this? If we hover over to the skill Chaotic Retreat, we already have established that this is a debuff against the enemy army, which can be cleansed. There are a few cleansing mechanics in the game. To name a few, Galadriel has a strong cleansing mechanic, Bree Riders, or let's say Dwalin, or how about the Ancient Helm of Numenor with the special effect Tranquility. And once that kicks in, say goodbye to your Chaotic Retreat. Now let's have a look at Gil-galad's gear and see what purple gear might be best in slot for him. I think Mirkwood bow is one of the best weapon options he has, if not this is the best, and it has plus attack for your ranged units, which is fine, you will be running 2 ranged units anyway. Might and speed and also elven strengths, this is just perfect in regards to purple gear. And then as a chest piece you can decide between these 3 pieces. I'm not quite sure which one I would equip since you don't really need fire protection since you have a strong evade mechanic, but in case your evade is being dodged or people are bypassing it with let's say Pursuit, you still may want to equip fire protection against Witch Kings. If not, you can also go with Quilted Armor. Let's say if you are fighting Saurons who have specialized in the focus damage build. Or how about equipping the Scale Mail if you don't have a Quilted Armor or the Superior Halberd. As his headpieces, I have decided to go with the Trapper's Hood and the Horseman's Helmet. And the reason why is I consider the Trapper's Hood the more aggressive version. It has plus attack for your ranged units, and also Hysteria to cause some additional chaos. In case you want to play it safe, you can also go with the Horseman's Helmet and Resolve. Like this will be a nice counter against Sauron. As his accessory, we have the Harp of Lothlorien, and I think that is the best in slot option over here in regards to purple gear. Commander focus, alright, that's not really what we are looking for, but still it's going to boost White Council, and then it is giving our army plus speed, and we can always use plus speed to get the first hit. But then we also have Elven Strength. Elven Strength is boosting our damage for our army, that is just perfect. In case you are fighting good side, like other Gil-galad players, you could go with Hunter's Mark, or let's say you are fighting against the Undying, who is kind of very strong against Gil-galad, you may want to counter the evade of the Undying with Hunter's Mark. And as a third option, if you don't have Elves or Hunter's Mark, you can go with Sustain. This is always nice to have since it is healing your army and it scales with Focus. So if I have Elf Strength, that would be my number 1 choice in regards to special effects. If not, I would go with Sustain. But if I need to fight something very specific such as Undying and Gil-galad who have strong evading mechanics, you may want to use Hunter's Mark. Now looking at his golden gear, this was pretty straightforward because Elven White Knife is the best weapon he can equip if it comes to golden gear. Lots of might, plus 6 attack, that is insane, and also a percentage damage boost, that is strong. And then as his armor, I have decided to go with the High Elf Halberd because again, all the beautiful stats he needs, also plus defense for his elven units, that is always something we can use. But above all, it has resistance, which is further increasing the elemental damage mitigation you can have on top of high alert. if you max out both like high alert and resistance, you will be sitting on 80% damage mitigation against elemental damage. If you don't have resistance, you can also make do with Fortitude of Elves, since this is going to give you a flat damage mitigation of -9% when you have maxed it out. And as our best in slot helmet option, I have decided to go with the Hunter's Guide. Best stats it can have: Might will boost your damage, Focus will boost your White Council, like more damage mitigation. It has plus attack for your ranged units. This is just perfect to have. And as a special effect, it has Aegis. Once Aegis is refined 2 times, it is already giving you a chance of 50% to resist Army Madness as well as Army Stun. So this is very strong. As our accessory, I think it is safe to say that the Silver Harp of Rivendell is our best in slot option over here. It too has Might of Elves, which is giving you lots of damage increase, but it also has Linden's Inheritance, which is a very strong damage mitigating mechanic. And I'm not sure which one of these is better. Now let's have a look at Gil-galad's Respect 10 item, Aeglos, or however you pronounce it, and let's see what's going on over here. So at first glance, good stats, you can't argue against it, it is okay. But I'm not sure how much plus attack you would be receiving if you have max refined this. Like the Elven White Knife is giving +6, and that is quite a lot. So in regards to that, Aeglos is already losing. But this also has defense for your Elven units, which is kinda nice. But I'm not sure about the special effect. Remember, Gil-galad is running nothing but Elven units, and his gear is boosting only Elven units. So by having this man mechanic over here, I'm not quite sure if this is what Gil-galad wants. And right now I have to ask you high respect level Gil-galad players who have max refined Aeglos and is running a mix between man and Elven units troop composition. Is this better than the gear we have just seen in the golden gear section? I'm not sure about it, but I think his golden gear, like this gear for his Elven units, seems better. And I'm going to stay to my opinion unless one of you high respect level Gil-galads with max refined Aeglos is convincing me otherwise. Now let's have a look at the troop composition of Gil-galad. Since I haven't unlocked them yet, I'm going to pretend that my low level Haldir is Gil-galad. So what you want is a healthy mix between 3 Elven units. Ideally 2 ranged units and 1 melee unit. That could be something like this. How about as your first unit you go with Sentinels, and then Bow Knights, and then with your Heralds. And what you're going to do now is you just fill in 35% Sentinels, the same for Bow Knights, and then you complement it with 30% Heralds. So that could be your first army option. Your second option could be something like this. You could swap out your Sentinels with March Warden if you have access to them. And then again the same logic, 35% Bow Knights, 35% March Wardens, and the rest you just fill in with your Heralds. And as a last option, now let me show you something else. How about replacing your melee units, your Heralds, with your Keepers? I know that this can be a more expensive army composition, but this too is legit. This is very strong. Keepers are also dealing focus damage on top of their physical damage. And imagine them having follow-up. That is quite strong. The logic stays the same, like 35% your ranged units, each unit gets 35%, then the rest you fill with your Keepers. And there you go, you are ready for combat. Before I get started analyzing the reports, let me give a big shout out to my fellowship leader Landedin. He volunteered to give me the reports here. He was a big help, and this saved a lot of time for me to prepare this video. And also, Landedin really knows his game. He has exceptionally good gear, high respect level Gil-galad, and also he knows how to build him. So thank you Landedin for providing us these beautiful reports. Let's get started. So Gil-galad has the Elven White Knife, Might of Elves, High Elf Halberd with resistance, best in slot, also the Hunter's Guide with Aegis, and then Harp of Lothlorien. You can't complain about his build, it all makes sense. His troop composition is also very brutal. Now let's check out Gimli. This Gimli has even unlocked his Respect 10 item and 4 times with his Strengthened, that is quite strong. He also has the Hauberk, Full Helm, Drums of Moria. Alright, so it is kind of nice equipment and also a decent Gimli. This build makes sense. If you have watched my Gimli build, he is running the meta build with Gimli, where Gimli himself is dealing the damage. This is very strong paired with tanky units. And still he didn't stand a chance because this is what Gil-galad is capable of. Let's look at the damage he has done. That is quite a lot of damage, almost 300k damage, while having so many units survive. This is also why I say he is kinda low upkeep costs. And then here we have our detailed view. March Wardens have done almost 140k damage, which is kind of amazing. Now here is a report where I was fighting another Gil-galad player. Let's check out my gear. Battle Axe with Flay, Hauberk with Fire Protection, Cask of Submergile with Formation Break to be even more bursty, and Erebos Pride with Iron Guard. I am running the meta build, and here you see I'm fighting this Gil-galad. He has Lang instead of White Knight. This is the second best option for him. Hauberk with Resistance. High Elf's Helmet. I consider this helm his second best option in regards to golden gear. And Harp of Lothlorien. Elf Strength. And also meta build Gil-galad. Everything makes sense. This is the damage we have done. Dine has done the most of it, and in Gil-galad's case, since he is an army boosting commander, his army is doing the job. Sentinels almost 140k damage. Now let's jump back to Landedin and see how he is doing against a strong Galadriel player. His gear hasn't changed, it is the same. This is his build, and as you see, both armies are kinda at their best. And then this Galadriel player had this gear, also very good gear. Elven Cloak with Unity, Grey Wizard's Head with Tranquility. Now remember when I said that Gil-galad's debuff Chaotic Retreat can be cleansed? Now this is one of those mechanics, and this already starts on round 1. That means your Gil-galad is going to deal less physical damage. But then look at this meta build Galadriel. She's going to deal lots of focus damage and heal her troops. But still, this is the outcome. Let's look at the damage. Almost 230k for Gil-galad. And he has received only around 90k damage. So this is a good report for Gil-galad. This is the detailed view. In this case, Sentinels have done 105k damage. Let's also check out some evil side reports. Gil-galad, you see his gear. In this case, he has changed to the Fiddle of the Eldest to get the initiative. I like that idea a lot because now he is kind of behaving like a Witch King. He doesn't have Convener, but he is trying his best to imitate it. And what do I mean it? Like, he already has initiative or a chance to receive initiative and also a chance to follow up. So it is a cheap version of Convener, but still it is there. And this is what he has achieved. Khaldun, this is his gear. Bane of Mounted Units with Scale and Guard. Easterling's Helmet, Fortitude of Evil Man. Wizard's Firework with Hunter's Mark. So this Khaldun is countering Kingly Kin. He is countering one of the strongest mechanics of Gil-galad. And he has strong physical damage mitigation since this is what Khaldun is capable of. And this is the result. So for Gil-galad, almost 210k damage. Khaldun, only 124k damage. This is the detailed view, but still, I consider this report very nice. Here is a Grima report, and please keep in mind that in this fight, Gil-galad was already injured before he had a fight, he was hit, and this is the second hit he is receiving. So we are kinda very short on March Wardens, but we still managed to get a report like this, and I consider this still a win. Let's check out this gear. Nothing has changed. It is the Fiddle of the Eldest with Blitz. And Grima has this gear with Cutlass with Melee Might. You might argue that the Carver would have been better, and then Mithril Coat with Barrier, Bone Mask with Manipulate, and then Wizard's Firework with Hunter's Mark. Again, this is countering Kingly Kin, and I see that this Grimar isn't rolling with his Madness build. Instead, he's rolling another build. I still need to test this build out. I'm not quite sure what's going on right here, but let me ask you, Grimar mains, what is going on right now? Like, is this another build that is better than the Madness build? Please let me know in the comment section below. Here is a detailed view. Gil-galad has almost done 180k damage while Grimar is scarily close to it. Keep in mind, we are receiving a second hit. Our army wasn't full when we fought against Grimar. Then the detailed view. March Wardens, of course, this time they can't deal that much damage. They are very short in numbers. Here we have a fight against Gorbak. Let's check out Gil-galad's gear. It is the Fiddle of the Elders with Blitz again. He had a full army. Gorbak has this gear. His Respect 10 item, that is quite strong for him. Cracker's Blade, 3 times strengthened. Warhelm with Discord. And Drums of Barad-dûr. Alright, you might argue that there is still lots of room for improvement. I won't deny that fact. If he further refines his items, it's going to be a hard matchup. And yeah, high respect level Gorbak, this is very nice. And imagine if he had Warlords in his army composition instead of Arbalest. I think that this would have been a loss for Gil-galad. And imagine if this Gorbak had the Palantir of Orphaned with Pursuit. So it is safe to say that Gorbak has lots of potential for hardcore countering Gil-galad. Now let's check out the view over here. Almost 200k damage, while Gorbak has done almost 160k damage. Detailed view, and yeah, that's it. We also have a fight against Kirun. Now the gear. Now we have switched back to the Harp of the Florian. And here we are fighting a strong Kirun player. Easterling Spear with Bane of Mounted Units, Orberg with Shroud, Bone Mask with Hysteria, and Bone Talisman with Evil Man Strength. So what's going on over here? He is going with the healing build and also damage mitigation build. I see. This is what we have achieved. This is the damage, 260k versus 90k damage. And here is the detailed view again. You see the Sentinels and the Heralds have done almost an equal amount of damage. Now this wouldn't be a Gil-galad guide if I hadn't included any Witch King reports. And here it is. This is a strong Witch King and you will see why. Let's check out our Gil first. He has switched back to the Fiddle of the Elders with Blitz. And I see where this is coming from because he wants to have the first hit even against Convener. And that could make sense. He just needs to bypass the Swarm Knights who are protecting the Alchemist. But once he has done enough damage, which he totally can, he has Chaotic Retreat, right? The Chaotic Retreat is over here. And then he's going to decrease the enormous armor of the Swan Knights. Once that is done, he can hit the Alchemist, which are his main damage dealing units. And he also has a chance to evade that strong fire damage. So I like what Landedin has done over here, it makes sense. Now, this player is a very strong Witch King player. You see he has Reckoning with Might of Soldiers, Orberg with Fire Protection, Cask of Submerged with Aegis, and also Drums of Moria. Overall, this is a meta build Witch King, and it makes sense to go with this army composition. But still, if a Witch King doesn't equip the Palantir of Orphaned with Pursuit, this is what is most likely going to happen. That report can change if Pursuit is provided. And here we see Gil-galad has done 300k damage while having received only almost 100k. So this is a victory for Gil-galad. And if we have a look at the details, we see again our ranged units have done the biggest damage in this fight. Before I let you go, let me also share a Sauron report with you. This is our Gil-galad. He has reverted back to his Harp of the Florian with Elf Strength. And then he is fighting this super strong Sauron player. This Sauron has his Respect 10 item, max strengthened. He has a Halberd with fire protection, Bone Mask with Hysteria, and the Smoking Pipe with Sustain. And as you see, this Sauron is running his focus damage build. It is a high respect Sauron. He has maxed out his focus damaging abilities over here, and he is also providing Commander Madness. Now, let's say that this is a hybrid build because he is providing Madness as well as focus damage build. I see that he didn't pick Enfeeble because maybe his points weren't enough, so this is kind of a hybridish build. And this is the outcome. Gil-galad once more has won a battle. And this is the report. Almost 350k damage, that is quite a lot, versus 160k damage. And here the detailed view. Interesting that in this case the Sentinels and Heralds have almost the same amount of damage. And there you go, guys. This is Gil-galad, a very strong commander, and I can only recommend to you guys, unlock yourself a Gil-galad, a very strong leader type commander. Special thanks to my fellowship leader Landedin. Again, he provided us all these reports. They speak for themselves. He has a high respect level Gil-galad, as you see, and one of the best gear you can give him. Now, it was very useful for us to see what's going on over here, and it is safe to say, if you want yourself a strong commander, get Gil-galad. And by the way, my fellowship and I, we are always looking for committed players, so if you are still looking for a home, a place to stay, just reach out to us, be it on our Discord server or in-game. And that's it for today. If you enjoyed this video, let me know by leaving a like and consider subscribing. I see you guys next time.